Welcome back, everybody, to this week's part 2 Porsche 718 Cayman GTS video. I've got Jace, the owner, and myself back in the car after we had a bit of an issue when we went to do the second part of the first video. I won't declare exactly what it was, but it wasn't anything to do with the car. It was to do with my GoPro and lack of ability to secure it safely to a car. But anyway, we're back. So sorry for the delay. Part 2, in-car, driving this 4-litre Cayman GTS. So, Jace, thanks for getting me back in.
Hey, welcome. Thank you.
He's made the mistake of giving me the key in the driver's seat. So let's take this for a lovely drive on some of Jace's sort of local roads. So we're not in the forest. We're in somewhere in Bedfordshire-ish way. So, first of all, in the car, we've just been talking on the way out here to this meet-up place. What a special car it feels inside here. Porsche always do great driving positions. Even my first Boxster, Jace had the 987 Gen 2 Cayman as well. They nail driving positions. The steering wheel's nice and small. It feels great. PDK with the paddle shift. And what I absolutely love is that centre rev counter. This being the 4-litre, revving, redlined at 7,800 RPM. The rest of the interior doesn't feel ultra-modern because it's not really. One small sort of digital screen, but lots of functional buttons that we'll talk about on the drive. And that's always good to see because within 30 seconds of being in the car, if I want the bumper warmers on, if I want to change the temperature, it's simple buttons that I can press and select and use rather than going through layers and layers of digital screens and dashers. Yeah. The 718's been around since 2016, so already it's 8 years old. But Jace, you were saying this wasn't much advance from the earlier 981.
That's correct, yeah. If you look at the two interiors side by side, I think the PCM, the Porsche Communication Management System, upgraded because it now comes with their Apple CarPlay, etc.
Yes.
But effectively, it looks the same. The button positions for, all these functions to select nav, map, source, tuner, etc. pretty much the same. The climate control controls pretty much the same, and then the variable option selection buttons are the same as well. So yeah, with that in mind, the 981 came out in 2013, so you're almost looking at an 11-year-old interior in here. But for me, I like that because it's a bit analog.
Yeah, and quite funny, as we were driving out here, we were just sort of plugging in Jace's phone to get sat nav on, and we'll come on to some of the quirks and some of the annoyances with trying to use Apple CarPlay and a phone that's connected in here and flickering screens and all that sort of stuff. So, look, let's get on the road, let's take it out, and then you'll join us in a few seconds when we're going along the road. So we've just managed to get out of the town and into some better roads, and one of the first things you notice as well is the flat six, the hollow, tinny type of sound, reminiscent of, I can remember my Boxster sounding the same, very Porsche, very distinctive. And just currently sat in automatic there's actually 4 driver controlled selections you can make on the steering wheel. So Jace, just run through those 4, can you? So we're in O. What's O stand for?
Ordinary, I think, which is a very plain way of expressing it.
And that's default normal then.
Everything normal. So exhaust off. It defaults to the auto stop start, which also gives you the cylinder bank deactivation. Suspension normal, traction control in normal. So it's just kind of everyday driving, really. It's a fairly kind of benign throttle map, and will always seek to put you in the most sort of fuel efficient gear.
And I can see that. So we're just literally coasting along here at 50, 55 mile an hour as it was in 7th gear. It's not particularly slow to go down. It's still in 5th gear, and we've dropped right down to 30 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So this is your just cruising daily usable car mode. S.
So that's sport mode. If you were to turn that on, it switches off the auto stop start. It puts on the sports exhaust.
Yes.
It also holds, if you're in full auto mode, it also holds the revs longer.
Yeah.
Not up to kind of redlining. So that's sport mode.
And then Sport Plus.
Sport Plus, yeah. So again, it would put the sports exhaust on, switch off the auto stop start. It also puts on the sport suspension, and gives you again a more kind of aggressive throttle map, which really does, if you're in full auto, really does hold the gears, kind of up to the red lines. I also feel, I've never read anything about this, so it might not be the case, but it just sort of seems to feel like, I think the steering feel weights up a bit and just becomes even more, just a tiny fraction more direct.
And could that be, though, because the adaptive dampers have they've hardened up a bit more, there's less slack when you're turning in, it might just feel more...
I guess it could be, absolutely, yeah. And I also wonder, because we didn't really talk about this before, but I think one of the other things on the GTS, it's got the active transmission mounts.
Yes.
So I don't know if it affects any of their characteristics, which again might make steering feel a bit more direct and so on.
Okay.
Just overall chassis characteristics.
Yeah. The brakes there, again, Porsche have always done brakes brilliantly. Jace, you are a bit of a Porsche nerd, but I can remember years ago reading about Porsche, and they always used to say that their brakes had to brake. It was something like half or a quarter of the time it took the car to accelerate to that speed.
It's half the time. Yeah,
half the time.
If it takes you, 4 seconds to get to 60, then the brakes should slow you down from 60 in 2 seconds.
Yes, right. Yeah. And then they tend not to be over servoed.
Yeah, and that was definitely a characteristic. Clear left. That was a characteristic in the 987 that took me a while to get used to, actually, because it almost felt like there was a lot of pedal travel. It almost felt like, maybe your brakes needed bleeding or something. But then you got to a point on that pedal travel where the brakes, really did engage, and an awful lot of kind of progressive feel. And I think it's kind of similar on this, but I think there's definitely, there's definitely more stopping power, just because of the 6-pot calipers and bigger discs and so on this.
Absolutely, yeah. So we'll just knock the gear lever over to the side, put it into manual mode.
Yeah, I'd put it in sport mode as well.
Put it in sport mode.
And then...
So just go for a little overtake. Over a little compression there. Build speed rapidly. You have got the eye as well on that's the 4th setting, isn't it, for individual, Jace? So that's do you use that? Have you set that up for yourself or not?
I have done, but I don't really use it. But yeah, you could configure, so you could put it, anywhere you want then, around the suspension, the exhaust, auto stop start, and the spoiler. So
the gear shifts are absolutely instantaneous.
Yeah, and I think this is a really good example for you. This is a road you're unfamiliar with.
Yes.
But you could drive like a manual. Okay, you don't have that physical stick interaction, but you can drive like a manual. And and you've got no idea what bend's coming up, and if you suddenly find yourself in the wrong gear for the bend,
yeah,
you can put yourself instantaneously in the right gear, or even mid-corner, which you wouldn't dream of doing in a manual.
no, you wouldn't. No,
Unsettling the car.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, the engine, the pull from that 4 litre is, I don't know, I've probably took it to 5,000 or 6,000 revs there, but it's pulling from 2. I mean, it's just power there all the way, isn't there?
Yeah, and torque really.
Yeah, which is the acceleration that
yes,
you need.
Yeah, and for normally aspirated, you don't.
Oh, it's an immense engine.
Yeah.
So, talking numbers.
Yeah.
0 to 60. I know it's just a rough guide, but it's down at around 4 seconds. In fact, I saw one at 3.9. So this is not performance car. This is high performance. I mean, this is serious speed. And I suppose the question then is asked is that when we're driving these cars on the roads, not on track, extracting that performance it's just so difficult. For me, who's going to drive it for an hour today, it's just you're just wetting your finger into some of the performance.
Yeah, and that's the sort of sad and unfortunate thing, isn't it? About
it is the where we are. It's almost like, I suppose, because we're going back into another 30 mile an hour. It's almost like all we can do is just get, or I can, because Jace has had this on track, and I get that because then you can fully exploit the car's full potential. We're dipping the toe. It's like going for a jog with Usain Bolt and saying he's the fastest sprinter and he can run the 100 metres in 9.6 seconds. Well, I've no idea because he's just jogging at the side of me. But you get the sense that he's 6 foot, whatever he is, 6 or something, and he's built strong and he looks like he can do it in 9.6 seconds. It's the same for these high performance cars. I mean, when you're talking 4 seconds flat, that is mega performance.
I think it is. It's easy in this modern day and age where the hypercars are sort of sub 3 seconds. 4 seconds suddenly sounds pedestrian, but as we were talking about on the way over here, it's not that long ago that supercar was kind of somewhere between 4 to 5 seconds.
And
that was deemed really quick.
If you look at Ferrari 355 or 360s, I'm not even sure where the later. What was the one after 360? The F430. I don't know where they were, but I bet they were only mid 4s. Low 4s at best. I'm getting into the PDK mode. I'm not missing the manual at the moment. Maybe it's something that I'm just a bit novel for me at the moment. But on some of these sections here, say roads I don't know, the fabulous 4 litre, the PDK it's just so quick. The paddles that you touch are lovely. It's just both up and down the gearbox. The throttle sensitivity, it's absolutely electrifying. And the power, the torque is delivered so quickly. Drove this up into Scotland on the west coast. I was a little bit critical, I suppose, in just the steering feel, the lack of feedback for me. Now, don't get me wrong, there is feedback, and it is direct, and you turn in, it's crisp, it's sharp, it's everything you want a sports car to be, but it doesn't really tell me what's going on. I don't think it still feels a little artificial, a little synthetic, I suppose. And I think in Scotland I talked about it feeling more like a really top-end simulator. But I think that's a trend. I've driven quite a few modern sports cars now, and as in built in the last sort of 5-6 years. I think it's what modern cars feel like nowadays.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. Compared to the 987, you really could feel, you know, the imperfections in the road, the ripples in the road, not every tiny little, you know, kind of grain of sand, but, you know, reasonable sized stones and things. That was all communicated back, you know, to you through the steering rack, through the steering column. But you've got nothing physically connecting that, you know, to the front wheels, have you? Because it's drive-by-wire, as it were.
Yeah.
So somehow they simulate. So hence your word. You know, somehow they simulate that feedback. I think it is good. But not as good as the 987. But I also wonder as well. This is on 20-inch wheels, and as good as they look, and as much grip as they afford because they're nice and wide. But I can't help but wonder. Is that somewhat insulating or kind of deadening some of the feedback? Maybe if it was on 19s.
So default is 19s, is it, Jace, for this?
Or the GTS, the default is 20.
Is it?
I don't know about on the S or the base models.
Right. Okay. Jace has kindly offered his sheet of the options and the full costed options of his Cayman. Just under 7,000 in options, Jace.
Yeah.
Quite trigger happy, or is that normal for a Porsche? Is it? There's quite a lot on options. You get a nice. I can get 2 sports cars for that.
Yeah. I probably went quite light compared to many people.
Wow.
Like we discussed before, I didn't do the GTS interior because it's about £2,500. We talked about what it offered. The thing we didn't mention, that also gives you, the GTS interior also gives you carbon fibre inlays.
Right.
I think they're real carbon fibre, which is part of the reason why it costs a lot of money.
Yeah. Got you.
I personally don't like.
You've gone for the heavy aluminium.
Yeah. Which probably isn't even real aluminium. It's just aluminium coated plastic.
I think it looks like tinfoil from here.
Yeah.
So let's just quickly go through. There's quite a few options. So gentian blue metallic, 632. Race Tex interior with extensive items in leather.
Yeah.
Just over 1,200.
Yeah, so that's just the extended leather pack.
Yeah. Sport seats plus. Yeah, sport seats plus 2-way electric. Nil cost option.
Yeah, but I don't know why it's down as an option, because they're the standard seats you get in the GTS.
Exclusive designed fuel filler cap.
Yeah, we
£93. We talked about that.
It wasn't as expensive as I thought it was.
Yeah, because I think you said 100 and something, didn't you?
Yeah, bargain.
Yes. PDK.
Yeah.
2,300.
Yeah, worth every penny.
We're going to come on to the new price now of the Cayman. But with the new price, and it's gone up quite a lot in the last couple of years that Jace has owned this, PDK is now baseline, isn't it?
Yeah.
With a free option to go manual, which is actually should be £2,300 cheaper.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so
Porsche accountants there.
Yeah, I think I said in the last video the base price was about 65 grand, but looking at the invoice, it was 68 for this because there've been these 2 price increases between when I put the first expression of interest in and the order finally going through.
Yeah.
The dealer protected me against one of the price increases
because he gave you a small discount, didn't he?
Yeah. So, but 68 grand, whereas and then, like I say, amongst the options, a £2,300 option for a BDK. The base price for this model now is £75,000 for a single option.
So most Cayman 4-litre Cayman GTSs now then are going to be well north of 80,000.
Easily, yeah.
Just run through the rest of a 20-inch nil cost, because that was, I think they were standard.
Standard wheels. But I had the option of having them painted the
that's the next option is wheels painted in satin Aram
Golf.
4
Subaru Golfs.
Yeah, 400 or just under £400, of which you've changed the colour anyway, because you've got same colour,
but I went to gloss
rather than the matte finish or satin. Light design package.
Yeah, there's a few lights up here. There's some lights in the footwells and there's some lights in the door bin, but
well worth £210.
Not at all, because the first thing I did when I set up the settings in the car was turn them all down because they were too bright. So one of the main reasons I went for that package was because on the vanity mirrors, you get illumination as well. And I had that on the 987, so I've just gotten used to that. So I just wanted to have the same again.
Yeah, got you. Electrically folded exterior mirrors, including courtesy lighting. So the mirrors don't automatically fold.
Was that an option that I paid for?
Yes, £210.
Oh right, yeah. No, I guess that's
terrible.
Yeah,
on a £70,000 flipping Porsche. Yeah. 2-zone automatic climate control.
Yeah.
540.
Yeah, because otherwise you just get air conditioning.
Air conditioning.
Yeah.
God dear. GT Sport steering wheel, no cost option.
Yeah, so as standard it comes in Alcantara or Race Techs as they call it now, as does the gear stick. I just prefer leather on the wheel and the gear stick to Alcantara or Race
I like
Tech.
Alcantara, but the problem is a well-worn Alcantara steering wheel is horrid.
Yeah.
Because it just, the dirt, the grime, the sweat. Oh. That was up to 60 miles an hour and a little bit. Smoking package. Jace, you don't smoke. Why have you spent £38 on a smoking package?
Because if you don't get a 12-volt charging socket.
Oh my word! So that's what it is.
Or actually, the main thing it gives you is that
pothole.
Thank you. Is that lid? So otherwise, you've just got this open
hole.
recess to trap dust and things in. So basically, I paid 38 quid for a lid.
Oh my word!
And a 12-volt socket.
Seat belts in Bordeaux red.
Yeah. So again, when we discussed the GTS interior, you get coloured belts to match the contrast stitching. I wanted coloured belts.
And I get that actually, because it lifts up the
and the main reason I went for Bordeaux red is because it matches my driving gloves.
Oh, Jace's renowned driving gloves. Storage compartment lid in red. No, so in Race Tech with Porsche crest. So that's what we talked about there in video one. That's your Porsche crest. Yeah. Does look nice. I can't believe they charge £161 for it. And then the final one, which was a big one, at $834, was Bose.
Yes. So a great thing about when I actually, sort of spec'd the car up at East London Porsche, I had a fantastic service agent there, Naz, and he was just running around getting me keys to various models on the lot, and I could listen to the standard stereo, the Bose stereo, and the I think it's Burmeister, that's the top end one. It's like £2,500.
Wow. And that wasn't the only thing, because I can remember having a conversation with Jace when he said, right, but I'm also going to get, before he actually took ownership of the car, he got it paint corrected, PPF'd and ceramic coated. All that, the paint correction, the PPF, the ceramic coat, just under 4,000.
Yeah, which is a lot of money. And I had it done at Topaz Detailing in London. Because they're quite close to East London Porsche, and they pick it up in a covered trailer and they bring it back in a covered trailer, so you're not going to incur any damage.
What about servicing and running costs then so far?
Yeah.
Because this is just to remind people, you're just about 2 years in, aren't you?
Yeah, it'll be 2 years old in November.
So that's about a month, so we're literally 23 months in there.
Yeah. The service interval on these is 2 years or 20,000 miles.
No.
I've got 18,500 miles on.
Really?
I personally think that's way too long.
Wow.
For a performance car, high revving engine.
Surely annual for a car like this, you'd have thought.
Yeah. So I personally, and I did this on the 987 as well, I personally get the oil and filter changed every year.
Yeah.
And I also get, because I track it, I also get the brake fluid done every year as well.
Yeah.
So because obviously I'm under warranty, I've got the first service booked in at a Porsche dealership in November.
Yep.
But even though it's a 2-year service interval and it's its first service, it's only deemed a minor service.
Yep.
Which ostensibly is an oil and filter change, a bit of a visual inspection,
And that's it.
I've also added on the brake fluid.
Okay. Yep.
And the quote for that is £1,068.
Oh. See, this is why I love Porsche cars. I might have an issue with some Porsche
Some of the owners.
Some of the owners. I do, and I do. That's just what I've experienced in my time. But that cost is. That's not. I expect to pay more. I expect to pay a premium, and I think Porsche owners would. But that is just.
I think it's ridiculous, quite frankly.
Absolutely.
So, by way of a comparison, last year, at the 1-year point, I actually had the oil and filter changed anyway.
Yes.
But not at Porsche.
Yeah.
I went to my usual, highly recommended independent Porsche Care in Stevenage.
Yep.
Thanks, Matt. And I supplied the oil. It's the exact same Mobil 1 Porsche spec oil. I bought it through OP Oils, so I'm getting it from a reputable place. I paid 150 quid for 10 litres of it.
Yeah.
Matt always uses original Porsche parts, unless you want him to use something else.
Yeah.
So he provided an original Porsche oil filter, sealing ring, and sump plug. And I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. I think he charged about 150 quid in labour. An hour and a quarter of labour. Yeah. So 150 quid, including the VAT. 150 quid worth of oil, £300.
I know. Just watch out, yeah.
And while he had it up on the ramp, he's just giving it a bit of a general courtesy look over anyway.
Yeah. So
that's probably not much more than Porsche Cambridge will do in 4 weeks' time.
Exactly, and pay over 300% what you have paid.
Yeah.
Owned it for nearly 2 years. What don't you like? What are the 2 or 3 of the things that niggle you, you change, or just fundamentally pisses you off? Anything. It might be nothing. I don't know.
The first thing, the electric parking brake. It's not the fact that it's an electric brake per se, but it's just where it's positioned and how it operates. So it's down here. So I've got to literally lean forward to reach it.
Yeah.
And then it's completely counterintuitive. You push it on and pull it off.
Yeah, you would not. I agree. You would naturally. I would pull to put it on and push it away to release it.
Yeah, so I don't like that.
But doesn't it auto disengage? Surely.
It does. Sometimes it does, but sometimes it kind of seems a bit ponderous, or I just don't like kind of putting that kind of strain on the engine. For that that's half second.
Because you're thinking mechanically how it operates.
Yeah.
So okay. So electric handbrake. Not a lot you can do about that, I suppose, or because they're pretty much standard now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Many cars.
Yeah.
Anything else?
The 718's got Apple CarPlay in the Porsche Communications Management System, the PCM.
Yeah.
But it's a wired connection. And it's in here under the glove box. So, and sometimes it just seems to lose the connection. So then you've got to pull the wire out and plug it back in. Now that could just be as much about the wire, although that it's a Porsche wire, not an aftermarket wire. So you'd like to think it should be fine. So it's a faff. Then you've got to lift this up, unplug it, plug it back in. It should just be wireless.
Yeah, and we plugging in the sat nav to come on these particular roads. We suffered that, didn't we? At your place, trying to get off at Jace Estate, and it was 2 or 3 minutes of just Jace losing, or just getting more and more frustrated with it. Yeah. So I get that as well.
When I've got sat nav on the car, that's fine. But if I want to use Google Maps because I've plotted a route, or I want to use Waze because it's
the app that you prefer to use. Yeah. Okay, cool. And that's it.
That was the wrong way.
Yeah, that's it. Or anything else?
One thing I wish I'd I wish I'd ticked, because it was only a couple of £100, and I probably should have done that instead of the light design package. I wish I'd gone for the auto dimming rear view mirror and the automatic wipers.
Got you. Yes.
That's,
Okay.
I think it was the same price as the other option.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Summary. I think of this afternoon. What a pleasure it's been, and big thanks, Jace, for letting me out in your GTS this afternoon. So, second drive of it, and I think for me, if you look at the big areas, the areas that are really important, whether it be engine, gearbox, brakes, chassis, the whole lot, it just feels like they're a 9.9 out of 10 on everything across the board. It's an intoxicating driving experience. Big surprise for me is the PDK. It's been a joy to drive on these roads this afternoon. Absolutely loved it. Did I miss a manual? Truth be told, not really. No, I didn't. It offers you so much more, and off camera Jason's been talking about his ability now to learn to get more sensitivity around his left foot braking to help, certainly on track as well as road. So it does give you another dimension, I think, to driving. What else? Yeah, I think I've still got a bit of a niggle, like I have in a lot of modern performance cars, in regard to the steering feel. I think it's just where we are now. Yes, it's a little bit synthetic. Yes, it's a little bit artificial. But I'm really having to try to pick holes in something that has very few in there. The PD gearbox is so fast, both on the upshift and downshift. It's a pleasure to use. A bit hypercritical, you could say, the engine being so flexible. When you come out of corners at second, third or fourth gear, does it really matter, because the engine just pulls with a wall of torque? But you're picking small gremlins in something that is such a brilliant all-rounder. And I think the other key for me this afternoon is its flexibility, because we've come through town, or a few towns and villages, and you switch it into ordinary, my new term for the afternoon, the default driving position, knock it into auto, and it's a really easy car to drive. But then you just flick it into sport or sport plus, knock it into manual, and suddenly you've got this driving car that puts you right at the centre. So absolutely loved it. Jace, thank you very much. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, as always, please thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't. Really important for the channel. And stay tuned. There'll be another video next week. Thanks for watching.